the land.
End of the road for kidnapping, ritualist and criminal leader Don Wani.
We will not rest until we get all of them and bring them to book.
Issues of national unity re-echo at church service marking 2018 Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukubrute warns troops in the northeast against extortion.
As part of our ongoing series on Agenda 2018, Good Morning Nigeria today focuses on the gains and challenges of Nigeria's health sector.
Right, let's begin with statistics from 2015, in which Nigeria had over 3,500 healthcare institutions, with about 27% being public sector owned. Now, the public sector institutions include 54 federal tertiary hospitals, as well as state-owned general hospitals, teaching hospitals, and primary healthcare centers.
Well, despite the high number of available medical institutions, the country still records below average health data, and this is due largely to the country's inability to provide quality health care to match the nation's changing epidemiology.
Now, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, report, neonatal death rate in Nigeria is 33.3%. out of every 1,000 live births, and maternal mortality ratio is put at over 800% out of every 100,000 live births.
Now, equally disturbing is the report of the new annual global burden of disease, that's GBN, which shows that more Nigerians are dying of diseases such as malaria, diarrhea, lower respiratory tract diseases, among others.
Indeed, Kingsley, according to that study, the top 5 causes of premature death in Nigeria include, again, malaria, diarrhea diseases, HIV, neonatal encephalopathy, I hope I got that correct, and lower respiratory infection. Now, many of those diseases have been put under check in many countries, even in Africa.
Now, health experts had indicated that the country's heavy disease burden, especially at the primary health care center, was pushing up the mortality rate of women and children in the country, Claire.
All right, now worried by, of course, these grim statistics, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, reiterated federal government's commitment to achieving universal health coverage, that's known as UCH, in line with the presidential declaration in 2014. Now, in this regard, the government introduced initiatives, including the Rapid Result Initiative Program, tagged Better Health for All.
Now, it was designed to produce quick and visible impact that would affect the lives of Nigerians, especially the most vulnerable and poor in the society. Now, the RORI, that's the Rapid Result Initiative, was also designed to revamp some 110 primary healthcare centers within 100 days. One in each territorial district, including a facility in a Fuka local government area of Niger State. Now, how far has the government gone on with the program, that's to say the RORI, and what impact has it made over a year after its flag off?
And of course, Kingsley, you know that the RORI, apart from the renovation of the public primary healthcare centers, had other initiatives under that program, including of course conducting of free surgeries and given free treatment to internally displaced persons in the Northeast. Now, the involvement of the private sector in Nigeria's healthcare delivery is equally worthy of note. The country has in recent times seen an increasing number of large-scale, what is called greenfield hospital projects by the private sector. Now, participants, of course, these players aim to establish fully equipped, high-quality secondary to tertiary healthcare institutions, and the purpose is to bridge the infrastructure, the huge infrastructure gap, and of course lost revenue to medical tourism, and most importantly enhance healthcare delivery. Now, how has the public-private partnership initiative impacted on our healthcare delivery in Nigeria? What are the constraints in tapping full potentials of the private sector in funding our health projects, especially with the high out-of-pocket expenses for health care? And this is the crux of the matter. Absolutely. Now, these questions that you have just raised and others, we shall try to elicit responses to from our guests in our discussion segment on Good Morning Nigeria today. Reaching you, as always, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Kingsley Osadola. It's my pleasure to be back, and I hope, Claire, that you all have a wonderful celebration. Oh, Kingsley, I should be welcoming you back. Welcome back after a very long Christmas and New Year. That's just a couple of days, actually. All right. I am Claire Dilabu Abdul Razak. I also welcome you if you have just come back from the festive holidays. This is welcoming you to a new beginning, and we're wishing you from the GMN crew and management of NTA a prosperous new year. Now, as always, we have the complimentary segments of our program, which will include a review of the newspapers. We also will be looking at the business, which is expected to kick off in earnest today, sports, foreign, and then we will be looking at what is developing, of course, in the arts and entertainment world. Right now, let me begin with the news of the day in a short moment. Now, the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army Port Harcourt, in collaboration with the 82nd Division, Enugu, and the DSS, have confirmed the killing of kidnapped kingpin, ritualist and criminal leader Don Wani. He was killed in a hideout in Enugu, where he was planning yet another attack on Omok. His remains and those of his second-in-command, Ikechukwu Adiele, who led the January 1 attack in Aligu that claimed 17 lives, were paraded before newsmen.
That the heartless killers, the perpetrators of that mayhem, must be hunted down, brought to book, and we will not rest until we get all of them and bring them to book.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has warned troops in the Northeast to shun any form of extortion, trade, and be alert at their areas of responsibility. The Army boats gave the warning while in Borno State in continuation of his operational visit.
Of utmost concern to President Muhammadu Buhari, he has at every occasion pledged his willingness to support and improve our welfare.
And the first batch of 493 irregular migrants have arrived at the Port Harcourt International Airport. Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyama, who led the presidential delegation, received the returnees. Garba Mohammed Natala reports that the evacuation is expected to last for 3 weeks.
The government has made it clear that they share the same values, and what we went there and we saw, they gave us full cooperation to be very, very fair to them. The President of Libya received us, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Justice, they gave us full access to the camps. It's true, there are Libyans, and they themselves admit that there are Libyans, just like there are Nigerians even in Libya, engaged in criminality, who are trafficking in Nigerians. This, there's no doubt. But the government itself is doing everything it can.
Bajo says the only way Nigerians could honor her fallen heroes is to ensure that the unity of the country is upheld. The Vice President said this at an interdenominational church service organized as part of activities marking the 2018 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration in Abuja.
Those who pay the and day for our safety and for the safety of our land. And we pledge that the labors of these heroes past and present shall not be in vain.
The All Progressives Congress APC, John Odigio-Yegu, says the party is fully prepared to hold its congresses and convention from now till June this year. He reaffirmed this while hosting the media at his residence in Abuja.
This month we are going to kickstart with the caucus and the NEC. And the NEC is the body authorized to approve a program leading up to the convention. The only thing I want to add is that it is pretty obvious.
A new progressive movement, one of the newly registered political parties, says it has commenced the process of merger with 6 other political parties towards ensuring a credible, stronger and viable opposition. The national chairman of the party disclosed this at the inaugural National Executive Committee meeting of the party held here in Abuja. And that ends the early morning news. For now, Good Morning Nigeria will be back with me and Kingsley after this break.
We are not here to fight anybody. If you can condemn the success...
Get to go on to
business. We have
now.
business here. Yes. If we have business, if we have the business package that is ready, from our correspondent, of course, we'll go into that. But I'm sure that the newspapers will have the stories. We have in our newspaper review segment after business. We'll have. We should have a story on the latest kingpin or kidnap kingpin, as they call him. You know, who of course was taken down by the troops of the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army. That's a significant development. But I'm sure that when Bayo joins us for the newspaper review segment, we shall talk about that. Let's take a short break now. Well, when we return from the break, it will be time for the business news.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
Is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism and other criminal activities. Be productive, be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the daring and invincible Louis the Mosquito. Responsible for 200 malaria cases all on its own. Is there anything that can kill Louis? Martin! Presenting Morty's Power Guard. Its powerful formula kills malaria mosquitoes fast. So, get Morty's Power Guard. Imagine a nation where tribalism and ethnic groups cease to be the mainstay of our reasoning.
Are you not an Igbo boy? Of course, yeah. Why then are you talking about proposing to a Yoruba girl? Or are you out of your senses?
If you are in Benin and your nephews are Ijo, will you kill them?
If I see two people from different tribes together, I don't like it. Cha-cha.
Let us marry ourselves and make our nation great.
Where they come from doesn't matter. What matters is how they feel towards each other.
We are getting there, but a lot still needs to be done. So we at Professor Jumbo have found the perfect solution in this episode titled Saving Nigeria, and laugh like never before.
If I can't give you some cash, you say make you dash me some cash for my phone where I never flash because my economy crash, eh? You gonna give me?
Now they thought this is not a flash they talk inside you.
That's what it is.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow, the largest data network. Glow Unlimited.
Helen! Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10. Thank you. This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now? Sure. This gets just 1. It is clean. But not perfect 10. Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible. Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X.
Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that
Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack. Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Business News. The ease of doing business seemed to have opened 2018 in the aviation sector.
We are chartered flight operators, but now we are embarking on domestic operation, and maybe something around January, ending January, we will commence our domestic operation.
This airline operator now says with the bureaucratic bottlenecks almost gone, the aviation sector is now ripe for more players. He decried cancellations and delayed flights as he believes these hinder businesses in and outside the country.
The aviation industry also helps the economy. So people should have, I want to have a business transaction in Lagos at so time, and I'm to return to Abuja on schedule.
Since attainment of over 21 million mark in 2014, air traffic passenger numbers have continued to grow in Nigeria. And still on transportation, an expert believes if more people travel by rail and by air, the burden on the roads will be reduced, and also the frequency of maintenance shall be reviewed downwards as the roads will last longer. The total value of national road assets is put at over 10 trillion naira. Roads, he said, have far-reaching economic, social, and cultural values.
If you look at the roads network, you will see that generally it has a pattern of going from the coastal areas to the hinterland, mostly for the purpose of carrying imported goods and delivering them to the hinterland and taking agricultural produce from the hinterland back to the ports. It also has a cross pattern which links the east part of the country to the western part, to the northeast and to the northwest, and all parts of the country to the center, which is Abuja.
He also put into perspective the gains of having good roads.
More money in the pocket of the general public, both the commuters and the car owners, which will then flow back to the markets and will help in the growth of the economy.
And as trading opened for the second week of 2018 on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, investors are upbeat in anticipation of a profitable trading week. We shall bring you market trends subsequently. That's business news for this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues in just a moment. Many thanks for watching.
All right, that was Kulu Mohammed bringing us, of course, developments from the business world. Now it's time for a newspaper review that's coming up next.
Our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Atoyebe, is right here with us in the studios for today's review segment. Bayo, good morning and welcome to the program.
Kingsley, welcome. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
You know, in New Year, they often, these days, they ask you, what is your PDP? Before you start thinking, I'm talking political, it's a personal development plan. Good morning.
That's simply put, that's your resolution.
Good morning, Nigeria.
That's resolution.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
All right, let's kick off.
Sometimes, you know, those resolutions are made on the 31st, I believe, of December.
They survive only 12 hours later.
12 hours.
All right, Kingsley. Let's kick off with the Nigerian pilot. The Nigerian pilot leads with the story. 2.9 billion naira. EFCC begins probe of 54 senators. You can find the details of that story on page 2. And another lead story on the front page. Benue killings, government to declare 3-day mourning, scores for mass burial, and of course a group task IGP to retract statement on mayhem. That story, of course, I'm sure enjoys front page reports. Kingsley, do you have that story?
Well, there's a story, that story, of course, the Benue killings is there on the front page of the Independent, but that's not the lead story for the Independent newspaper. The Independent is there, that's to the right-hand column of the Independent. Says death toll in Benue herdsmen attack rises, with the rider 10 more bodies recovered. That story is in greater detail on page A5. Now also there is a story you just indicated just now. Security operatives kill Rivers massacre mastermind and 2 others. That story is inside on page A13. The story of the killing of the mastermind of the Rivers massacre is there on the front page as well of the Punch newspaper. Punch newspaper is there. That's below the composite photographs there of Nigerian returnees from Libya. But the story on Benue is also there on the front page of the Punch newspaper as a headline, just one of the 2 earpieces beside the nameplate. It says 59 victims of Benue herdsmen attacks to be buried Thursday. It says 59 victims of Benue herdsmen attacks to be buried Thursday. That story is on page 8.
Yes, okay.
Well, Benue State has declared 3 days mourning, and there's expected to be mass burial for victims of the clash between farmers and herders. Well, it has generated controversy, and the Vice President, Professor Yomi Osinbajo, has warned Nigerians that killings alleged to be carried out by herdsmen should not be politicized. He said specifically, we have seen recently killings that have resulted from attacks of herdsmen and farmers and communities, and also where farmers and communities have attacked herdsmen. He says that under no condition should Nigerians allow anyone to create a religious crisis out of this. He recalled that the politicization of the issue of Boko Haram at the outset enabled it to fester and rise to the heinous level of activities is engendered. He said Nigerians should not fall into the same trap again. He said President Buhari has ordered the police and the armed forces to deal decisively with the situation. Those who want to benefit politically from the tragedy of killing women and children in Anambra, Benue, Plateau, and other places are stoking the embers of ethnicity and religion. That is the critical one. But broadly speaking, there are several perspectives. Governor Altum of Benue State has said that the leaders of Meyeti Allah should be arrested because they have said that they are going to resist the anti-grazing law. Governor Altum says that the anti-open grazing law is the consequence of the protest, and those who sponsored the killing are in Abuja. He says that Meyeti Allah has said that they are going to challenge the grazing law in court. Meyeti Allah has also distanced itself from the killing. A spokesman for the Meyeti Allah, Saleh Bayari, says that they condemn the killings of women and children, describing it as a perpetration of evil and irresponsibility. They say that it is because they are a peace-loving that they have challenged the anti-grazing law in court. He called on all pastoralists to remain calm and urged the federal government to look into the crisis in Adamawa, Taraba, Kaduna, Zamfara, Nasarawa, Benue, and Plateau. Now, the Inspector General of Police also over the weekend said the killing in Benue is resulting from communal dispute. Herdsmen involved are Nigerians and are members of the community. He advised members of the community to continue to live in peace. So, back and forth, but there is no justification for taking any life, either for the purposes of protecting the cow or for the purposes of protecting a farmland.
You know, Bayo, one thing that amazes me is the fact that, or worries most people, you know, who have responded to what is happening in Benue and other parts of the country, is the fact that from both sides, it's been difficult to, you know, arrest those who were principally responsible for the killings, from both sides, from the herdsmen and from the farmers. If you do that, or if the security agencies did that, it will go a long way to assuage the emotions, you know, that are beginning to rise from these incessant killings.
You see, my sympathy is with the security agencies. Mostly, their distribution network is at the state headquarters, local government headquarters. These killings are in the far rural areas. Before they hear the alarm, before the security man would get there, many is gone. It happened in Nimbo, in Enugu, you recall? About 14 people were initially killed. Later on, the death rose to 20. It happened in Gidandawa in Zamfara. It happened in Pilgan in Plateau, Newman, and also Guma and Logo local government area. So we need to look at this thing critically. And a national approach has to be looked at. This idea saying that farming, pastoral life and everything is within the ambit of the state government, and therefore it is their prerequisite in the concurrent list to tackle it. It is making the federal government stay aloof. But there is a threat to national security that must be taken very, very seriously.
There is, and Kingsley, I feel that, and a lot of people feel that, the speed with which security, the military, you know, captured the kingpin in River State, it's quite commendable. It's quite commendable. If we deploy such speed and commitment, you know, to resolving this, whether it's communal, you know, clashes or whatever, you know, will pay off in both in the short and the long run.
Long term, yes. Yeah. Yes. Talking about the mastermind.
Well, just before you leave that issue, yes. What is the meaning of law and order? Is there law and order in the urban areas, and then law and order you don't have it in the deep hinterland? And then the value that we have for life. The figures we're talking about, 20 persons killed, 25 persons killed. If one person dies elsewhere, as we know, in other societies, yes, and that's... All right, so by the way, we're going to talk about the mastermind, the kingpin of kidnapping. We keep hearing of kingpins. There was one called Vampire sometime. They brought him down. Now this one's another kingpin.
There's another one, Dracula.
Oh, another Dracula.
He was arrested in Warri. This one was Igwediba Johnson, otherwise known as Don Wani. Well, he actually subscribed to the amnesty that was granted by the River State government in 2016. In fact, he was given a chieftaincy title by the Ogba land. But all of a sudden, in November, when they raided his hideout, they found skulls and freshly buried bodies. And since then, they have been watching him. But unfortunately, on New Year's Eve, people who were coming from a crossover service, about 22 of them were killed. And eventually, he melted away from rivers They were tracing him. They located him in Imo. Before they could get at him, he had left. They went to Enugu, rented a house, and melted within the people and living like ordinary people. And so when a combination of a 6th division of the Nigerian Army and DSS straight into his hideout, there was an exchange of gunfire because he was resisting arrest, and eventually they were able to subdue him and they killed him.
It was neutralized.
Yes, neutralized.
The developing story in this matter is that some people from that region have questioned the identity of this fellow, this kingpin that has been gunned down. But I know, discussing earlier with you before we came on camera, you were talking about, the features of the decomposing body.
Yes, sometimes the features of a decomposing body tend to change, but for them to have come out publicly to say that they have gotten him,
positively identified him.
He must have positively identified.
All right, let's take other headlines. Yes. There's trouble in Kogi as well, but this time it's with regard to employment. That's the list story for the Independent newspaper. It says Kogi retires 8 permanent secretaries and sack 1,774 workers. Kogi retires 8 PAMSECs and sacks 1,774 workers. With 2 riders there. Kaduna teachers and Kogi doctors begin strike today. Sanu Nansu may also resume today. That's on page A4 in greater detail. That story you can also find on the front page of the Punch newspaper, which has a different lead story. Punch, of course, is talking about Buhari ordering checks on judges designate. That is fairly routine, I believe, even before you were appointed.
Just quickly take along with you, Bio, that's the headline on the pilot, which we talked about earlier on. The EFCC, in the beginning probe of 54 senators over the 2.9 billion naira saga. I mean, this potential...
That is merely a continuing investigation. Already the Economic and Financial Crime has been investigating activities surrounding the 2.9 billion dollars meant for arms. This has been going on, and some people have even been arrested and detained, and so it is alleged that these 54 senators probably got money for campaign for 2015. But let's quickly go to the Kogi issue. Kogi state government has published a pull-out in a newspaper, 102-page pull-out, and it has titled it a schedule of list of staff involved in forged certificates, and it is expected that these are the ones that it has been reported that 1,774 have been charged. In Kaduna State too, there is crisis there. Teachers have down tools, and the state government has warned that it is going to apply the public service rule that anybody who absconds from duty will be disciplined according to the public service rule. This is again fallout from the, you remember the test that was conducted for teachers, primary school, primary 4 test, for which only they couldn't score up to 75%.
All right, Bayo, let's go to the comments by the newspapers. The editorial for the Punch newspaper is on page 18, and it's on the customs, and it's a record 1 trillion naira revenue recorded in 2017. So beyond customs 2017 record 1 trillion naira revenue, there are a number of points that the editorial highlights. And it says, for instance, that the inadequate deployment of cutting-edge technology in its operations fuels corruption at the Apapa and Tinkan Island seaports in Lagos, as well as other ports in the country. In other words, customs will need to deploy technology so that perhaps it can rake in more revenue. But then the paper goes on to say, in one of the concluding paragraphs of the editorial, that while improved revenue collection is critical, what is more imperative is the protection of local industries. Because the revenue you are getting from imports, of course, would mean that there's probably some measure of dumping, or that as you are importing, then local industries are also dying, and therefore jobs are also going away.
Well, the implication of that is that is twofold. First of all, the target that was set for the Nigerian Customs and Excise was 700 billion. They exceeded that. And that is positive news, especially when the nation is in their need of revenue to fund its capital projects. However, the dangers they have pointed out there are twofold. For instance, the element of technology. We recall that the custom have been beaten at the ports with importation of arms, but it was the vigilance of the Federal Operations Unit that identified these arms after they have left the ports are on the streets. And this is because of the death of technology. Therefore, if technology is enhanced, then custom operations will be enhanced. The other element about the industries is that there is protection for the industry here, particularly for their raw materials. However, there are the 41 list that was published about list of items that are prohibited. If they insist on that and make it a lot more easier, a clearance easier for raw material for industries, then it will not be an encumbrance for the industries.
That's right.
Bayo,
are there other stories? I believe there are no other stories for us. Other stories, of course, our viewers can find those ones on the front pages of the papers, and they also go inside. They will see others. Bayo Atuebe, pleasure having you today.
Thank you very much. Welcome back.
All right, let's take a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll be dealing with the gains and challenges of the health sector as part of our agenda setting for 2018.
To the outer framers, the fringe goers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes, giving your skin a healthy feel. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Dettol soap is now also available for 100 Naira only.
It's that time of the year when we appreciate all those that mean so much to us. Our sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, businesses, and above all, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2017 great. Together, we shall make 2018 even greater. That's why we say thank you. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Give me the value pack. Helen!
You do great value shopping.
Absolutely. I'm a champion at getting value.
Then you must have bought the Harpic 200 ml.
Why Harpic when I have this?
Even after applying them 10 times, they won't give a sparkling clean toilet.
Impossible.
Challenge. Detergent and bleach can't give a sparkling clean toilet even after 10 times. But Harpic 200 ml gives a sparkling clean toilet at one go.
Wow! Harpic 200 ml. Real deal. Now only 200 Naira.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy by Made in Nigeria.
The time has come for Nigeria to take her rightful place in world sports with the first national grassroots sports festival to discover and prepare sport talents and develop future world champions for Nigeria. The festival date is 3rd to 10th March 2018. Venue is the National Stadium, Abuja, packages A and B. This is the opportunity for you to promote your brand through the Festival. For broadcast sponsorship, which include live broadcasts, highlight shows, and TV fans show, contact the Chairman, Chief Coordinator, Angelo Peter I. Elosia, or Nick Onyishi. Organizers, Grassroots International Sports Academy and LOP Worldwide Television. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Broadcast partner, NTA.
All right, welcome back. But if you just joined us, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We are reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's now join our correspondent, Oyemi Ajayi, for a background report to our conversation this morning, which has to do with the health sector.
For a long time, Nigerians have expressed and demonstrated lack of confidence in the country's healthcare sector. Despite several reforms initiated, Nigerians allege that successive administrations have not shown impressive political will to improve the sector. However, the present administration came with great promises of infrastructural turnaround. 2017 saw more policies and programs aimed at upgrading healthcare infrastructure, which is the introduction of the Rapid Results Initiative (RRI) to renovate primary healthcare centers across the country, the engagement of 200,000 voluntary health workers to improve delivery of immunization, antenatal care, and other health services in rural areas. Taking a step further, the Nigerian government has set aside 28 billion naira to fund primary healthcare intervention in 2018, and this is targeted at revitalization of at least one primary health center in each of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, including tertiary health institution projects. A recent review of health system financing for universal healthcare in Nigeria shows high expenses for healthcare, a very low budget for health at all levels of government, and poor health insurance access. Despite this, some challenges are still prevalent, as less than 5% of Nigerians have health insurance coverage, and most enrollees are in the formal sector with very poor coverage in the informal sector. Other issues include incessant strikes by health workers, brain drain, poor medical facilities, among others. Now that 2018 is here, it is expected that the health sector will yield more results with better activities online, and maybe medical tourism abroad will just be a thing of the past, with less strike actions by medical staff.
Right, we'd like to thank our correspondent Oyemi Ajayi. We thank you for that background report. Let's now bring in our guests this morning who have joined us here. But first of all, the Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, is with us. Professor, compliment of the season.
Compliments of the season. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Claire, well, let's begin. We'll look back to what happened. 2018 is already 8 days old. How healthy were we as Nigerians in 2017?
Thank you so much. The state of health of Nigerians is actually work in progress. Certainly when we reflect on 2017, we're far better than we were in 2016. Apart from our desired effort to continue to make progress and improve on the state of the healthcare system in Nigeria, we had to confront quite a number of challenges, particularly public health outbreaks. And I must say that at the end of the year, we were able to put them in check. We had Lassa fever, which we've been able to tame. We had yellow fever outbreak in 3 of our states, which we've also addressed squarely. We had yellow fever in Kogi, in Kwara, and Zamfara states, majorly, and we've commenced immunization, reactive campaign in these 3 states, and the plan is to roll it over, and the next 5 years make sure we immunize every Nigerian against yellow fever. This is ongoing. We had outbreaks of cholera, particularly in Borno State, flashes of it in parts of Lagos State, and we were able to put this on the check. We also had to deal with measles, and we've commenced nationwide screening, immunization against measles in different parts of the country. We're focusing majorly in the northern states, and then by February we'll move to the southern states. I think we've done well, remarkably. You also made mention of attempts to deliver public health goods to our people under the banner of the Rapid Result Initiative. This has largely been really a very successful program. I want to say that when we started this program, we were quite restrained in terms of our objective and goals. We plan to do 10,150 surgeries for poor Nigerians. These are people who ordinarily could not afford the cost of care. And I think at the end of the year when we did the review, we've been able to do about 8,000 free surgeries for Nigerians across the country. This to me is a major feat. We plan to screen 20,000 Nigerians as part of the startup phase for cervical breast cancer and 200 for prostate cancer. So 22,200, we were able to do 11,000 of the screening. But we'll continue in 2018. But I think we've done well trying to put in place structures to ensure that things go on well with Nigerians. With respect to primary care, one of the remarkable achievement we've done is to really create a reawakening at the state level. Health is not a direct responsibility of federal government. Nigeria is a federation, and health is a combined responsibility of federal, of state, and local government. And one of the things we've done is to stay on board with our governors. And I must report that many of our governors are doing very well in trying to improve their care situation in their states. As of last week, I had discussion with the Zamfara state government, where we have serious challenges with human capital, human resources for health. And last week, the governor assured me he's giving approval for the state to employ 75 doctors and 145 nurses. So we're making progress. The important thing is all of us must work together. And I can assure you that we will move on to really reposition the healthcare system in this country. We are quite committed. We had a joint external evaluation. This is a situation in which we open up our doors and invite international agencies and partners to come and assess our readiness to respond to public health emergencies. We know that public health emergency will occur. What we do not know is where, when, and what. So in order to do this, we brought in people to assess our system, our readiness, the state of our laboratories, and it's a mixed result.
Okay, let's pause here a while. Now, the state of health of a people and life expectancy ratio is perhaps a very cogent measure of the state of a country's healthcare system.
Correct.
Now, with all you've said and all the structures and initiatives added to your strategic engagement, which you said we're going to do in the health sector, are Nigerians living longer now?
Well, that's interesting. Life expectancy is not determined in one day. It's a continuous exercise. The life expectancy of Nigerians, actually, the life expectancy has increased. It used to be around 48, now we're talking about 52. But that's not what we want. We want to be able to say, look, attain 60, 70, or even 78, as some countries like Japan, South Korea, and even the Nordic countries have. So we're not there, but certainly it has improved. But it is not a one-year exercise, it's not a two-year exercise, it's a continuous thing. So no single person or administration or minister can lay claim to having achieved this within a short span.
All right, Honorable Minister, you talked about what happened in 2017. For instance, we had a number of public health emergencies.
Correct.
And yet, there was no panic in the population, in the wider population. So, what worked? Take that question along with also other issues that kept popping up in the course of the year, namely labor issues. You had strikes, by various unions and so on and so forth. And people are wondering, how are you able to achieve all of this while you're also having labor issues?
Well, I think one of the things we've done in the health sector is to build our capacity. As I stated, these units are manned by seasoned professionals. We have a Nigerian Center for Disease Control, which is a new initiative. The Federal Executive Council actually passed the enabling law, and this has been forwarded to National Assembly for consideration. And once it's really passed by National Assembly, it will come back to Mr. President for us. That body is charged with the responsibility of responding to outbreaks, detecting them, confirming, and then reacting. And to me, the lessons from Ebola has also positioned us. Over the last 3-4 years, we've trained about 300 of surveillance officers. We call them disease detectives. We have them all over the countries. We have better communication with the states. And we are improving this communication on day-to-day basis. We really want to be sure that even one single case of a disease attracts attention. In 2015, we had Lassa fever in a village in Niger State. We lost 17 people before we got to know. The meningitis outbreak last year was on by November, and we didn't get to know until February. These are things we are trying to confine to the dustbin of history. We wouldn't want anything to start and spread before we get to know. So one of the things that has helped us is this networking and better communication. We are also open and honest, and I think people respect honesty. We have this problem, we are not going to hide it. Outbreaks are not peculiar to Nigeria. We've had outbreaks in Ghana, outbreaks in Central African Republic, outbreaks in many countries. So once you do not hide it, you build trust, nobody will panic. And I think this has helped us.
And yet, we still have the ancient diseases, malaria, for example.
Oh, we have malaria, but we are doing well with malaria in terms of diagnosis, in terms of reduction in mortality, and really keeping a focus on our goal of preventing malaria-related deaths by 2020. We believe that by 2020, no Nigerian should die from malaria. We are not saying you cannot have malaria by 2020, but nobody should die. One of the things we are trying to do is to improve our ability to make a diagnosis. We're spreading the information. No doctor or public health person should treat malaria without diagnosis. The tests are so simple now, rapid diagnostic test. So every fever is not malaria. So you need to diagnose malaria. And secondly, there's no room for monotherapy, no room for chloroquine, no room for single agent drugs, but you use multi-combination drugs. I think, and then we are also giving our pregnant women protective therapy, preventive therapy in pregnancy. We are advocating nets, we are bringing more nets into the country, and we're encouraging Nigerians to sleep under the net. Once you sleep under the net, you keep your environment clean, we diagnose fever, and we treat malaria. I think we will continue to do well with malaria. You also made mention about the labor unrest. This has been challenging. But we're really addressing it by repositioning our engagement with the respective unions. It's tough, but I think we've been able to put this under control. Many of them are wage-related issues. The issue of relativity among the different professionals. But what we're trying to say is to say the most important person is not the doctor, not the nurse, not the pharmacist, but the Nigerian citizen. And without them, there will be no health system.
All right. You know, one of the major concerns that medical experts have usually expressed is the fact that over the years, because of the huge infrastructural deficit in the healthcare sector, Nigerians have developed a very negative habit of, seeking medical treatment, when they come down with one form of ailment or the other, until such ailment, has advanced. With all that you've said, and the fact that over 27% of medical, institutions in the country is owned by the public, government, are we now seeing a change in habit, by Nigerians? Can you confidently say that is happening?
It's a major issue, and several things are responsible. One is our attitude and understanding of disease processes. Nigerians do not believe in what we consider to be the pathologic basis of diseases. Nigerians believe in some other factor being responsible. You can't do away with this. Even when people have cancer, they still tell you it's something else. When people have accidents, they tell you it's something else. And this has affected the health-seeking behavior of Nigerians.
There are reasons why they do that.
No, let's get there. And also, people have aversion. Unfortunately, it's a vicious cycle. If you have cancer today, many of the cancers are late cancers, stages 3 and 4. Anywhere in the world, go to US, go to Japan, if you walk into a facility with stage 4 cancer, there's nothing that will be done. Nothing. Not anywhere. No magic. Unfortunately, they come into the facility with stage 3 and 4. Few months, they die. They then tell you, oh, don't go there because they have no solution. And to me, that fuels this crisis. There are also problems. One is the attitude of healthcare professionals. We also don't engage well, and we are looking into this. We're working on how to improve quality of care. We've just done a study with the Bureau of Public Service Reform, and it takes about 3 hours to see a doctor in a public health facility. We're addressing this. We're trying to look at phased approaches. Can we give them appointments in phases? But what is also important is that we need to build the system in totality. A situation in which people walk straight into a tertiary care will not help us. There is no reason why anybody with malaria should walk into a national hospital. There is no reason why somebody with diarrhea and vomiting should walk to a national hospital. They should go to a primary care. So what are we saying now with regard to the revival of the primary healthcare centers, which is part of your RORR, that is to say Rapid Result Initiative? Well, like I said, we're doing well with this. It's also something that has to be done collectively with state government, with local government, and at the last count, we have quite a number of our international partners also supporting us. The British government, through DFID, is supporting about 950 of the PACs in the northern states. The EU is going to work on 774. World Bank is working on 1,400. For us under the RI, we said let's start with 110. At the end of last year, we've fully revitalized 64. 23 are ongoing, and we just have to award another 23. This year we want to do 774, one per local government. This will go on with the state. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was particularly excited when the Minister of Federal Capital Territory told me that because of all I've been saying about PAC, he visited the primary care facility in Abuja. And he said he spent an hour there trying to understand what do they need. That's right. This is the type of disposition that will help us. The Bauchi state government said, come and visit me, I'll revitalize many of my PACs. Kaduna government said, I've done 255. I personally flagged off PAC revitalized, PAC revitalization in Borno State, in Niger, in Kebbi. So things are ongoing. Well, Prof, what is it that an attendant at a PHC should expect? I'm raising this question because this was an issue we discussed around about November or so last year. And it would appear that some state governments have the notion of a revival of the PACs with merely putting up new structures or renovating buildings. What would a patient who walks into a PHC expect to find and get? Well, that's interesting. It's not the government, it's the people. We love four walls, we love bricks, we love mortar. But a building does not constitute a health system, a health facility, no. But let me tell you what should you expect. I visited Nasarawa State about a month ago, and I visited 3 prototypes of PAC. I visited the PAC that is operating on business as usual basis. I visited one that is being funded by DFF scheme, a decentralized facility financing, where will you give money to the facility. I visited another one that is paying for performance. In other words, we'll give you money, and we also look at how many cases did you see, we'll give you more money. And believe you me, what are the differences there? The business as usual was completely run down, nothing there, no staff, dirty environment. The PBF and the DFF, excellent facility. The staff were happy. Clean environment. In other words, what we need to do is to make sure that we fund our PAC. And that's why we are going to implement a scheme starting from the first quarter of this year, where we want to transfer funding centrally from CBN to the facility. Because without money, they can't work. There will be no drugs. There will be no human resources. The environment will be dirty. And if you ask me, what should you expect in any of those two good centers, either the DFF or the PBF, what should I expect? I expect to find the staff there. Minimum, a midwife, a nurse midwife. I expect that they will be able to take care of my pregnancy. I expect that they will be able to deliver me. And if there is a complication, they will send me to the next facility. I expect that they will be able to treat malaria. I expect that they will be able to give vaccines to the baby. And I expect they will be able to offer family planning. And also treat common ailments. Check blood pressure. Check urine to know if that person has diabetes. Those basic things should be done in a primary care facility. That is what 80% of Nigerians require. The 80% of our people did not require anything fantastic. They don't have jaundice, they don't have cancer. No, 80% have simple things.
All right, Professor Isaac Adewale, Honorable Minister of Health, let's pause for a while, and of course bring in our other guests who are already here with us. Kinsley, you have the
that's right. Right here with us in the Abuja studios is Dr. Ibrahim Wada. Dr. Wada, pleasure having you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay, and that's Dr. Ibrahim Wada, of course, who's right there with us in the studios. We have two guests who are joining us via Skype. This time, one of them, of course, is joining us via Skype from Ottawa. That's the capital of Canada. Is Dr. Adetola Motunrayo. You can see him there on the right side. Oh, well, there are two of them who are on the screen right there. Dr. Adetola Motunrayo, Ottawa, that's 6 hours behind us at this time. It's our pleasure to have you join us. And then also joining us via Skype, this time from California, that's 9 hours behind us, is Dr. Johnson Adeonju.
Yes, Dr. Adeonju is the President Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas. Dr. Adeonju, we're glad both of you could join us on this program.
So, gentlemen, we'll come back to you later on Skype. Let's say charity begins at home. So, Dr. Ibrahim Wada, you listen to the Honorable Minister of Health, talk about the initiatives and steps as well as accomplishments in the early days of what they have tried to do, plus, of course, the very naughty labor issues that we have seen in the health sector. But from your perspective, how well are we as a people?
First of all,
and how well could we be?
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate the opportunity to share this platform with Honorable Minister, Professor Isaac Adewale. Even the way he spoke to the country, it's clear that we have the people as a nation. And he is the chief of doctors, is the chief of health of Nigeria, and nobody can put it better than what he's done. I appreciate you, sir, and good morning. Looking at the health and the health system and healthcare 2017 from a private perspective, I want to appreciate that the practical efforts of the federal government, preventive medicine, primary care, they are obvious. I use the word practical because the private sector is looking at results, and we are beginning to get those results, and we are on course. I am comfortable to say that. The focus of the individual Nigerian citizen is, I want to be well, I want to live to be 70, and I don't want pain, I want diseases prevented in me. And a collaboration, a partnership between the government efforts and the private efforts will no doubt push the speed at which the individual gets the results of what he wants. Really, the confidence of the population in public health sector is increasing. I don't think it's going down. I think the industrial unrest of so many years, almost 40, 50 years of our history, I think they're becoming more tamed. I think not many doctors will just go out on strike without a reasonable reason anymore, even though they reserve the right to strike. I believe when the minister says it's a healthier nation 2017 than previous years. So, I mean, on a more specific basis, yes, the effort of the private sector in creating a healthy environment is also increasing, which means there's a general reawakening of modern medicine. More and more people are literate enough to look not at the negative side of what's behind this disease, like is it the witchcraft or something. More and more people are aware of medical exploits. The force of the private sector during that period, to me, is looking at what Nigerians run abroad for. Like, you talk of kidney diseases, you talk of cancers, you talk of heart problems, you talk of fertility issues. There is a growth in that sector too within the country. Not just growth in numbers, but growth in confidence. So you can see where I'm coming from when I'm saying, on the one side, the government looking globally at us as a community and our health, and the private sector looking at us more on individual basis to create the best condition and environment for that person. And so it's a good year.
All right, let me just ask you, before Kingsley, we'll go over to Canada and, of course, California. Dr. Wada, from the, privacy of your diagnosis room, that's the private sector, I'd like you to look out to the primary health care, in the public sector, because that's the fulcrum of healthcare, provision. What do you see? Do you see more people, going to access healthcare, or are they going more to the private, privately run hospitals?
Like the Honorable Minister said, my feeling too is a case in progress. I mean, we don't wake up overnight and change our habits. I think the private sector is getting, I don't know, I wouldn't say preferential, because the primary health care that had weakened over many years, he's brought the correct focus to say, you must wake up, you are the first port of call. It wouldn't change overnight. And they have to also earn the confidence of the people. So it's difficult to give statistics to it because I've not studied. I mean, the people that come straight to private facilities, which are also fronting as primary healthcare centers, because primary healthcare is where you first go to. And I think it's a case in progress where people will gradually understand it's open, it's working. Like he's really giving good examples. It's a matter of time before the balance is set. Those who go to primary healthcare centers immediately, and the 20% that will look, hey, look, I want something more than a private primary healthcare center. So yes, I can't read from my consulting room window and say, no, primary healthcare has not woken up. It has woken up. It's been talked about. But it will take maybe another 2-3 years for everyone to say,
so
here
there's
is
still
my
preferential, access. I mean, there's a preferential, what will I say? People prefer to go for visit to the private.
This is the background.
Right.
It's not necessarily the correct background, but this is what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Ibrahim Wada, thank you very much. Again, let's also pause you. And then go over to our two guests via Skype. We earlier introduced Dr. Adetola Motunrayo, as well as Dr. Johnson Adeyanju. Let's go further afield first to California. Dr. Adeyanju, we wonder if you had the benefit of hearing what the Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewole, explained with regard to the various steps they have taken and the responses that we have seen, as well as overall, the state of our healthcare. Before we get deep into the economics of healthcare delivery, what is it that you get to know now about Nigeria's healthcare system? What is worrying and what is heartwarming? All right, it looks like we're having some audio challenges there with Dr. Adeyanju. Once our engineers clear that up, we'll return to him. But if Dr. Motunrayo was on standby while I was asking that question, I would like you to take that now. That's in Ottawa, Canada. If you listen to what the Minister of Health said, what's your reaction to that? And from the information you get from your professional colleagues, again, we also understand that there's some slight hiccups also going over to Ottawa. I'm sure we cleared that up. Perhaps there's a lot of snow in the. Although that shouldn't, of course, disturb my sky. But let's return to Dr. Ibrahim Wada. Dr. Ibrahim Wada, you as it were sketched what we are seeing now as perhaps greater collaboration or partnership rather between the public and the private sector, different from the kind of contractual thing that we have seen. But in which aspects of healthcare delivery have we seen perhaps the most visible manifestation of the public authorities reaching out to the private sector to ensure that we all live better and healthier?
Yes, I think that the model of public-private partnership, PPP, is a policy of the Federal Ministry of Health in tackling health issues. The idea is speeding things up, combining private efficiency with government largesse, government might. And there are so many examples of that. Wholesome collaboration that has been between NISA Premier and the Federal Capital Territory. I mean, we were visited by the ICRC recently, that's the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, and they took a wide tour, studied the books as well, got presentations from us, and they shook their head because healthcare collaboration between public and private is one of the most difficult aspects of PPP because it's social function. They were impressed, using international benchmarks to judge. So I believe that this example will be studied more and more by the federal government, and they will develop forms of it to help in efficient management of our health resources at the secondary and even the tertiary levels. The other type where maybe sectoral PPPs, I have a good example, and that's at Ibadan, and now Luth. Minister was in Luth not too long ago to do a marriage between the private sector and the public, the teaching hospitals. Let's take the one of Luth. The fact that they have an independent power supply is a PPP because without power, there's no medical technology. And you can't do operations, you can't do all sorts of things. So that's one. The second part is the radiological collaborations that are existing in various teaching hospitals, which mean that downtime of instruments are far less because these people have invested their money. They're not going to allow the instrument to go down, and the repair of those instruments and equipment don't depend on budgetary allocations and applications. They've just got to work.
How is that working? Because if you recall, we took on the cancer machines at the National Hospital a couple of years ago. It was an embarrassment. You're talking about other equipment now on the PPP. How is that working out? Is it that the private sector operatives now come? They are the ones who install, operate, and run, and they charge for it. And government also says, you please agree that you can't charge beyond this level. That's a ceiling, which is very good. Okay. So it's not profiteering for its sake. It's a collaboration, and I know it's working. I know it's working. And for example, if the cancer machines at the National Hospital were a public-private driven project, the private sector part must make sure they work with sleepless nights. They will not allow it one day, because it's when it's functioning that they can pay back their bank loans and, subsist with it, live with it. So I think, Professor, you're getting the very high scores.
Yes, quickly. With regards to PPP, since we're talking about the, public-private partnership, issue in the health sector, usually the challenge with this kind of arrangement is the perceived fears, usually expressed of, in access to service by the lower, rung of people. It spikes up cost, and of course,
not necessarily.
Hold on, Honorable Minister. If we look at the type of arrangements we've had in other sectors, it's not been a good experience. So, do we have the capacity to, or what model of PPP would you, advise, or are you looking forward to?
There are several models.
And we've actually developed a guideline for PPP in the health sector. We've also developed an incentivizing document, which was approved at the National Council on Health. But I can tell you that the fears that PPP will escalate prices is unfounded. No. As stated by Dr. Wada, the downtime will be eliminated. What we are trying to do is to bring the efficiency and the discipline of the private sector into the public sector. And to me, it has worked well. You also made mention of the cancer machine in National Hospital. That's quite unfortunate. The cancer machine was in the crate for 3 years until we got there and said, look, this can't happen. In a country where there is a serious need for this equipment. But unfortunately, what delayed it, the bunker that was to house the cancer machine was not completed. So we got it completed, we installed the machine, and it was commissioned by the wife of Mr. Vice President just early December, and it's now working. We've also now worked with another private sector, SNEPCO. SNEPCO in the next 1 or 2 weeks will deliver a second machine to National Hospital. Brand new state-of-the-art cancer machine. National Hospital will now have 2 working at the same time. Each of the machines can treat 100 to 150 patients a day. So in other words, when the second one becomes functional, hopefully January, February, after testing and so on, we will be able to treat between 200 to 300 cancer patients at National Hospital. We're also working with Luth, so that hopefully these 2 will work. But many of them we're also working. If you look at Luth, there's also a form of PPP with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. They are working with us, although a federal government entity, but we are changing the management model to say it cannot be business as usual. We must create a separate account, a separate management structure that will ensure that when these things really break down, we repair them quick. We also have, another one is the joint venture with me and Baker to manufacture vaccines locally. FEC approved this, and we've just constituted the board. We've got the board nominated, and we'll constitute it very soon. And we're using as equity the old lab in Yaba. This is what we have. Use it as equity. They bring in money, they bring investors, and then they start running. So there are several models of this PP, but the important thing is value for money, service, and making sure that we have no downtime.
I know that many years ago, the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital at Ikeja introduced a PPP.
Lagos State University.
Lagos State University, that's the one at Ikeja.
LASUT.
Yes, LASUT, that's at Ikeja. Yeah. They had a PPP model. Now, you talked earlier about increased collaboration between the federal and the subnational governments. This is state and local governments. How attractive is the PPP option to state governments from your interaction with them?
Well, we've not discussed PPP with state because to me that's actually not PPP. That's government to government. We've not discussed that. What we've discussed is working with the private sector, and to us it's the right way to go. Even we will for the PAC that the Basic Care Provision Fund we want to kickstart in this first quarter, we'll be making use of private facility because we'll be paying for services. We are going to use them. Whatever you do, we'll pay for it. So it will involve them. But government to government, we've not really worked with this.
All right, Dr. Wada, with the huge, very huge infrastructural deficit in the health sector, and with plans to probably begin to, adopt the PPP model. I mean, Garike is a model, to look up to. Do you think that the private sector have the capacity to really, significantly bridge this gap that we're seeing?
I think the answer is yes. I have no doubt about it. However, when you talk of infrastructure gap, my question is how efficiently we're using what we have. It's not a matter of building new hospitals, new pharmacies, new whatever.
So you know why I asked? Because in the very 4 areas where we have great needs, where of course Nigerians, troop abroad to get medical treatment, cardiology, oncology, orthopedics, renal disease and all that. there's so much infrastructural deficit.
What do you mean by infrastructural deficit? You use it about 4 or 5 times.
Do we have the equipment? Do we have the facility? Do we have the technologies?
We do.
So why are Nigerians going abroad?
Let us appreciate.
Just a moment, Honorable Minister. Why are Nigerians still going abroad to seek treatment for these areas?
I think the issue is, one is efficiency. The second one is the skilled professionals. I wouldn't really start clapping if anyone tells me they're building a new teaching hospital in Abuja, for example. But I'll start clapping if what we have is being used much more efficiently so that the throughput is more. A lot of what you say depends on even catching the disease early, before it comes to we can't handle at home and so on. And Honorable Minister has spoken about that. So I think, at this point, let me give the opportunity for him to shed light, because I also don't believe our problem is huge.
Because daily, Honorable Minister, if you watch the screens of the televisions, you listen to the radios, you hear adverts, people soliciting funds, to take their patients or their loved ones abroad for kidney transplant and all that.
We do them in Nigeria. You see, let me tell you, there is also a racketeering aspect.
That's right.
People who go out do so because they also collect tester code. They do it. Many of our hospitals do renal transplant. Even private hospitals in Nigeria do renal transplant. But when they go out, they collect tester code. But let me also say clearly, tourism, medical tourism is a global phenomenon. Americans leave US, go to Malaysia, go to Thailand for free, for cheaper treatment. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria. But people go out for various reasons. We're also very secretive. There are people who just say, look, I don't want people to know what I have. Let me go out and treat it there, because nobody will see me. But let me also tell you, I every day sign waivers to bring back corpses from abroad. Many of these lay cases who go out die there. They die. And their corpses are brought back. The solution is, whatever we have, let us visit care facilities early.
I'm wondering, Honorable Minister, you're talking about waivers. I know that the private sector and even state governments, part of the complaint has always been with regard to the challenge of importing medical equipment and supplies.
Oh, this is a different waiver.
Yeah, this is so.
This waiver is following the Ebola outbreak. The Minister of Health has to approve that a dead body could be brought to Nigeria, because we want to be sure that the cause of death is not an infection that could be transmitted to other people. That's the type of waiver I'm talking about. But the waiver you are talking about,
fiscal, yes, no.
The waiver you are talking about has to do with getting things right. Yes. People import equipment, sometimes for humanitarian reasons, non-profit basis. They do not tell us. It gets to the port and they then ask for waiver. That's late. Before you ship the equipment, let us know. Once you apply to us, we will remit your application to Minister of Finance. And I can tell you, we've improved the interaction. There is now a desk officer in Ministry of Finance that handles this waiver. There is a desk officer in Ministry of Health that handles it, and we work together. So we'll get this waiver. But then sometimes the private sector now wants to get in this equipment free of charge. That might be difficult.
you know, Kingsley,
because we can't do it free of charge.
I'm worried about the fact that we have these facilities in the country and people are still, expending so much going abroad for this treatment. I know you have a question for our guest in the
US. Dr. Johnson Adeyanju. We understand the Skype audio is back now. Dr. Adeyanju, I'm sure you remember the question I asked earlier. You've listened to the two guests we have with us here, the Honorable Minister of Health as well as Dr. Ibrahim Wada, who is based here, of course, in Abuja. Let's get your reaction to what is playing out in Nigeria and what suggestions you may have. I think there's still a problem with the audio there. Dr. Adeyanju, we have to apologize, but we'll keep trying. And once we're able to get you, we'll come back to you. But just very quickly, Dr. Ibrahim Wada, Honorable Minister was talking about, because this has always been a knotty point. I mean, why, for instance, I mean, it's a fiscal regime, we do not produce a good number of these medical equipment and supplies in Nigeria, and we need them to boost, our healthcare delivery. It's an argument that's been made. Why can't you just have these things come in FOC? That's free of charge.
Well, I support the fact that they shouldn't come in free of charge, because the people are not, I mean, they're going to use it for profit, business, if you like. So the rest of the public need to earn from it. So, I mean, the idea of everything medical free of charge, maybe specific waivers according to national need. Otherwise, if you have a blanket policy, then everybody will bring everything under the medical cover. So I think that caution is very important. Having said that, at every time point we have issues. For example, cancer, which if you get it, is almost a death sentence. Such considerations will be speeded up and maximized. If it's a cosmetic directed equipment where I don't like my face, I want it changed, I mean, why shouldn't the government earn tax from that, for example? So I think that's my contribution. Working together under a good leadership, like thank God we have, we will be able to push year by year towards what's paining us in the food, and sort it out accordingly.
Well, at the state level, what do you get to learn? Because you are here in the Federal Capital Territory, and of course you're also covered by federal laws and the area council bylaws. But what do you get to hear from your colleagues? It doesn't appear to be all too rosy with private sector operators in the healthcare system. And what are these issues? Is there any sense that the National Council on Health, which is chaired, of course, by the Honorable Minister, can intervene?
The story at the state level is not most impressive. You're right. I don't find the exact words to use to describe it, but I think it's lack of understanding, maybe lack of experience, lack of development. And that word development means where the government is lacking because of bureaucracy and less resources than is needed, there must be a political will to allow the private sector to fill in that gap. And that is the story of our states, because a lot depend on allocations from the central government. And the mouths that feed on these allocations are almost, too many, if you like. But the people's health is a #1 priority. So if the government funds at that level cannot help, there is no reason. Then you say, okay, it's expensive, the people can access. One argument is it better to afford something that is nothing? Or is it better to try and achieve something that is something? In this case, I'm talking of some health insurance policy, some payment policy that's devoid of fraud and of inflation and all that kind of practices. National health insurance, community health insurance, and so on. That is what will come to save our people. And believe me, I know the Honorable Minister of Health has this in his mind too. The ministry is working towards what you call universal health care.
Coverage, yes.
But I think he's in the best position to say that. We mustn't, out of consideration that it would be too expensive for us, stay with nothing, especially at the state and local government levels. All right, Honorable Minister, I know that the National Healthcare Policy provides for the drawing of a certain percentage into a health pool. What does that translate to the people in terms of access and cost?
Well, it's not actually the policy, it's the Health Act. The National Health Act makes a provision for the allocation of at least 1% of the Consolidated Revenue Fund, but this is yet to be fully implemented at the federal level. But what we're trying to do is to develop what we call the proof of concept. And that proof of concept is being funded by the Global Financing Facility, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and hopefully DFID as we roll it out. We want to kickstart this by offering basic care funded federally to poor Nigerians, and we want to target about 8 million people to start with. Making sure that we deliver free care, basic care to them. And this to me, if we are able to pull this through and we succeed, will be this single largest, most important social program in this country till date. Because we'll be taking care of our people, poor people. We will also be building on the insurance model because we'll be paying for services. We'll be giving money to the facility so that those facilities can improve. And some of those things we complain about, oh, the APAC, they have no staff, oh, the place is run down, this will become a thing of the past. We're kickstarting it in some of our states, and we are hoping that with lessons learned, we'll be able to roll out. The Senate Committee on Health is also working on making health insurance compulsory, and working together with them because there is a strong interest in the presidency in rolling out health insurance across the country. So working together with the Senate Committee on Health, we hope to be able to improve health insurance in the country and also generate more resources, broaden the scope of coverage so that Nigerians can benefit. The whole essence of universal coverage is to ensure that we offer financial protection to our people. Because one of the reasons for this delayed presentation is poverty.
That's right.
And people don't have money, so they stay at home. If you can remove that barrier,
through
a lot of things will work well.
Honorable Minister, through proper financing,
yes.
The National Health Insurance Scheme has been running for some years now. It's also been mired in scandals. And Nigerians are wondering, when are we going to get out of the scandals and then begin to enjoy the benefits of a truly health insurance scheme that caters to their health needs?
I think what you enjoy from your health insurance depends on what you put in. Currently, what goes in there, to me, represents mainly capitation from public servants.
That's right.
There is quite a large number of Nigerians that are unemployed or that in the non-formal sector. What we have to do is to bring on board these people into the scheme. They need to put in more money. Because if you don't put in money, then you can't get anything out of an insurance scheme. And I think this is the message we need to get across. People are saying, oh, the coverage is little. It will be little because we are not putting in money. What government would then do is to pay for those who are poor, those who are unemployed, because somebody must pay. When we say health is free anywhere in the world, it's only free to you at point of care, but somebody is paying, either through the public sector financing or direct government subvention, or we are paying through some other means. In Thailand, for example, a large measure of the funding of the health sector is from tobacco tax. So something must really come into that coffer. And what we are trying to do is to generate that goodwill and say, look, this pot that we are talking about, how can we grow the pot in a way that will be enough resources?
Even the little resources that you refer to that we have in the kitty of the NIS, as I said, there have been stories of scandals, and allegations of misapplication. How are those matters being dealt with?
That is the danger with money. There's something spiritual about money. Honestly, it tempts, it creates problem, but I can tell you that it's been dealt with on a case-by-case basis. For example, I can tell you the leadership of the scheme is looking into all of this, and various organs of government say, how can we make this scheme better? The problem with health maintenance organization, problem with the computer, the payroll system, has it been doctored, has it been inflated? There are many issues. But we can't bring everything to the public until we've sorted it out. But we are quite concerned about this. We want to make sure that we have a scheme that is trusted, that is worthy, and that has integrity.
Is the amount, just before we take a short break, Honorable Minister, the amount involved in the allegation of misappropriation, against the former boss of the NHIS, is this still being investigated or has it been resolved?
Well, I think a report was submitted to the presidency, and I can assure you this is receiving attention.
All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and today we are looking at the gains and challenges in the health sector. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with our guests.
Why don't you people sell imported materials here? As beautiful as the shop is.
Auntie, buying foreign goods does not help our economy. Neither does it boost local production. And the good thing is Nigerian-made products are high quality. Really? And to make Nigeria great again. That is why I only sell made in Nigeria products. Because change begins with me.
I'm convinced. Change begins with me too. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're right on time as we stroll down to the concluding part of our conversation. Let's try once again to connect with Dr. Johnson Adeyanju, who is joining us via Skype from California, and is the President of the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas. Dr. Adeyanju, I hope I'm lucky this time. Hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
So let's get on with it. You've been listening to our conversation. What can you make of the totality of our healthcare package here, looking at it comparatively with what obtains from there?
Go ahead. What's the question?
All right. Dr. Adeyanju, well, I'm Kingsley now. That's my colleague Claire who first spoke. Let's get your take on the comments made already by the 2 guests with us here in the studios. The Honorable Minister of Health, what we are seeking to do, and the new milestones that we are achieving in our healthcare system. What more would you like to see?
Yes, I was telling the other gentleman that unfortunately I was unable to hear the Honorable Minister and Dr. Wada. But in terms of some of the things that the Honorable Minister addressed, we in the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the U.S. have listened to some of his presentation here in the United States as well as elsewhere. And I think he's right on the ball when he described the role of the primary healthcare in Nigeria, as well as how it connects with all the other aspects of the Nigeria healthcare structures. The role that we as diaspora physicians around the world can play in the healthcare sector in Nigeria is multifold. The diaspora professionals technically are divided into about 3 or 4 entities. Those who are fully employed in federal and state and private institution. Number 2, those who are in private or solo practice. Number 3, those who are retired. And number 4, the Nigerian medical graduates in transition. The goal of all these physicians, it doesn't matter where we train or where we go to school or how long we've been here, is actually to give back and work with Nigeria. The Association of Nigerian Physicians, just like we know, just like our counterparts elsewhere in the world, like Canada and the UK, we embark on various programs to work with Nigeria. We have what they call our Nigerian field activities. And a lot of these involve educational support. In fact, in AMPA, most of our themes that we present on a yearly basis are focused on healthcare delivery in Nigeria. And the 2 guests that are with you, the Honorable Minister and Dr. Wada, have been our guests here. And we are passionate about what we do. They know about what we do in terms of educational support, capacity building with Nigeria, collaboration and partnering with Nigeria, a private and public entity, to deliver the best possible healthcare in Nigeria. AMPA specifically here in the UK, here in the US, we dialogue with the Nigerian University Commission, the Nigerian CDC, the Medical Council, the Medical Dental Council of Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Health almost all the time. And we have some of our members who are acting as visiting professors, working with the Nigerian Medical Association, the Nigerian private and public entity, taking part in medical missions to make sure that the role of the Nigerian diaspora physicians are not forgotten in Nigeria. There are some members that have relocated to Nigeria to work with the Nigerian health sector. And there are programs on the table right now that we are working very diligently with the Honorable Minister in terms of what they call the Diaspora Professional Healthcare Initiative, to make sure that some of these skills and knowledge that we have overseas are brought back to Nigeria. And our goal is that one day Nigeria will enjoy the same healthcare that the rest of the world enjoy.
Ask you, since you've mentioned that your association, as well as those in other parts of the world in diaspora, collaborating with the Ministry of Health here, are there, for effective collaboration, are there areas of concern you would wish the Honorable Minister to address for you?
I missed the question because of the audio. Please.
Between your association and the Ministry of Health back home.
I missed the question because of the audio. I can't hear you very well.
Okay, I'm repeating my question, Dr. Adeyanju. I said, for effective collaboration between your association and the Ministry of Health back home, are there areas of concern you would wish the Honorable Minister to address?
I hear the question about for effective collaboration with the Ministry of Health. I did not hear the last part of the question.
Concern? Can you hear me? Are there areas of concern? Are there areas of worry that you wish the Honorable Minister to speak to?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yeah, we're seeing that's there. It's freezing again. It's freezing again. Dr. Adeyanju, we hope that we're able to clear that up. This is the third piece of our discussion. I'm not sure what the status is now with our other guest, Vasca from Canada. If we have the all clear from our engineers, we could also bring him in. That's Dr. Adetola Moturaya. We also understand that line is frozen. But the Honorable Minister, they're talking about the collaboration between Nigerian medical professionals in diaspora and the Ministry of Health. How is this supposed to work out? Is it federal government or subnational and federal and the diaspora?
Well, it's going to involve all layers of governance. It will also involve the private sector. What we're trying to do is to develop a program called 111, where Nigerian professionals in diaspora will work there for 11 months and they come home for 1 month. And to me, it's a win-win. When you come home for 1 month, you'll be able to render service, working with your colleagues here. You'll be able to really exchange ideas, transfer knowledge. You'll also be able to visit your family. So to us, it's a win-win, and we're quite working on this, and we've made provision for this type of engagement in our 2018 budget proposal so that we can fund our own side of the bargain and tidy up the MOU so that we can kickstart it.
Now, this on a public health issue that's been raging for a while, and this has to do, of course, with drug abuse, the misuse of cough syrup,
codeine,
codeine, and and all kinds of things in certain parts of the country. What has been done about this?
Well, we've flagged up a committee that will address this. The Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria is also addressing it. The Pharmaceutical Society is concerned, and quite a number of other people. We have quite a number of young ones abusing codeine, taking codeine. NAFDAC has also been in the forefront of confiscating illegal drugs, some of them coming in through different routes into the country. And we've impounded many of these medications to destroy them. But a lot will also depend on education. And it's just, this is beyond health. Parents have to be involved, religious authorities, churches, mosques. We need to keep on educating the young ones that these drugs or substances could actually damage one's physical structure and also one's future.
All right, Dr. Wada, now healthcare delivery models, it's now, breaking, technology, it's high tech now. We have new ways of, doing things, running scans and all that, and all that. In this collaboration, what would you want to see?
Well, first of all, to say that I've been involved in such collaborations, both in the public sector and the private sector for a number of years. I recall Iroko Maple of Canada, a team of orthopedic surgeons who'd been invited to the National Hospital when I was CMAC to Dr. Ajuwon, who was CMD, and they came in with so much enthusiasm. Our job was mainly just pay for their airfare and accommodation. But looking back, that didn't work, but we learned lessons from that. What was wrong was the system absorbing them with the same enthusiasm that Dr. Ajuwon and I had, because we could see why shouldn't the National Hospital be doing hip replacements, knee joints and that, which were lacking at that time. But there is more to it than just a political will. They're selling it to the grassroots, the advocacy, and I think that is going to be a component of what the federal government is trying to do. They're not coming to prove that they can do better than us. No, they're coming to add value to where we are. The other experience is in the private sector here in Abuja. Because I'm a gynecologist, I just segmented the practice into 4 groups and pinned it on the heads of Nigerians in the UK in particular, whether it's fetal medicine for pregnancy and keyhole surgery and all that. And that worked brilliantly because it was easier to sell it to the smaller population of people. So I think these lessons we would like to put at the disposal of the Honorable Minister, who also has access to lessons learned across the country, to discuss how best Nigeria can add value. Our problem is not the people. Our problem is the system and how we can preempt difficulties. What do I see in the next few years of both private efforts to engage the diaspora and public efforts to engage the diaspora? What I see is like a tape being fast-forwarded, provided patients themselves are aware. Second, provided the establishments where they are coming are receptive without question, without any kind of complex, and with results targeting.
Okay, there are quite a number of private hospitals in town, that are into the high-tech, medical, service delivery. What form of encouragement and support do you think, they can get, to make it seamless?
That is happening now in kidney transplantation, heart surgery, cancer management, and many other aspects, keyhole surgery and robotic surgery. These are things that will come to this country in a very rapid fire. That's why I said press the fast forward button on everything you've said. they are most willing to come and show that what can happen in Tokyo can happen in Abuja without problem. So the work environment, the support group of people, their motivation, because sometimes it's human to feel, you know, why should this person come from London and show that he can do a heart transplant when I've been a heart surgeon here for 20 years, and what is he trying to say? So all those need to be mopped up so that we can really have a true fast forward.
I actually covered a procedure in one of the private hospitals there. I think it's called Bento. It was the first time it was done in a private hospital in Nigeria. Quite commendable.
That's right. What's the idea of Honorable Minister of attracting Nigerians back, to make their contribution? I think the Delta State Teaching Hospital at Ogara attempted that some years ago. I don't know what the status is with regard to that. They actually recruited some Nigerians from the diaspora, had them in situ or in facility to discharge their responsibilities. But this is 2018 already. What are the hopes that we have, and what should be the milestones? Thank you so much.
For 2018, we've done a lot of planning. We've done a lot of planting. As I've said at another level, this is going to be a year of reaping the rewards of the planning and the planting. We will roll a rapid result initiative into 2018. And in 2018, we plan to ensure that we put live into at least one PSC in each of the local government. That will be 774. We also plan to extend the screening to 250,000 Nigerians for cervical, breast, and prostate cancer. We are also looking forward into doing 225,000 free cataract surgery, and on the basis of 250 per state minimum across the country. We're working with the Ophthalmologic Society of Nigeria so that we can restore sight to people who normally should be able to see. And then we're also working with Gilead to offer free treatment to 800 Nigerians with confirmed hepatitis C. This hepatitis C is now curable. The Minister of Defense is worried about the high level of hepatitis B and C among Nigerians who come in to enlist in the Nigerian Army. And what we want to do is to increase education. We'll partner with the Armed Forces and Ministry of Defense, increase education and awareness, and also start treating people with hepatitis C. These are our promises for 2018. In addition to the ongoing revitalization of 8 of our tertiary institutions. As I've said, we've started with National Hospital Abuja, we're handling Luth, and we'll take a 1 per geopolitical zone in 2018. We will build their capacity to handle cancer, cardiac, and kidney problem. The only addition will be Maiduguri, that will also take on trauma for obvious reasons.
All right, Professor Adewale, thank you very much. Let's take the reactions from our viewers who have sent in their tweets. Clifford Aguguesi, it says that this is a tweet from him. It says, it is not enough to say that the first point of call for patients should be the primary healthcare centers. The people are aware of the structure of the healthcare system and in how it ought to work. There's very little enlightenment going on, if any. 30,000 primary healthcare centers adequate for a country such as ours? Now, efforts must be intensified to get the moribund ones amongst these working. And
Shakir tweets, we want our minister to make the best of his efforts for Nigerians to be proud of him, to say good of him after his tenure.
Now, this is from Aminu Modibo. He says rural areas don't even have enough electricity for their healthcare system.
And Festus Akimbeyewa tweets, mental health problems are not accorded importance in Nigeria. Diabetes and kidney problems are killing many Nigerians. Simple dialysis costs a fortune here in Nigeria, and those who cannot afford it are dying in large numbers. This should change in 2018. My sister is currently, his sister, is currently having dialysis twice a week at the cost of about 600,000? 60,000 naira. How many Nigerians can afford 60,000 naira every week? Precisely what I said earlier.
Muhammadu Ibn Isa tweets, if China can build more than 3 million free homes for its poor citizens last year. Why can't the Nigerian government give to the poor free medical services? China is the world's second largest economy.
Yes, and I was going to ask Dr. Wada, fine, the minister has given us an insight into what to expect in 2018. Beyond the free treatment, what form of empowerment would you want, for Nigerians to be able to access quality healthcare in 2018?
I think the best gift to Nigerians during 2018 is a flow system of their health, where there's a primary address, which on that basis is linked to a bigger hospital. When you do that, the sense of health security is improved. I know that there's public effort at the secondary and tertiary levels, but my experience in both public and private sectors shows me that involvement of the private sector into our secondary and tertiary healthcare is something we cannot avoid, at least at this stage of our development.
All right. Dr. Ibrahim Wada, of course, Honorable Minister of Health, earlier you talked about the fact that improved literacy rates are also assisting Nigerians, in living better and longer. I'm sure everybody is virtually health conscious now. What you eat, what you drink, when you eat, what you do, what you shouldn't do, and what you should avoid. Some of these kidney issues probably can be taken care of by way of prevention. But of course, I would like to thank all our guests who've been with us for today's program. Our apologies, of course, that we couldn't maximize the opportunity of the Skype that we had with our guests from Canada and California and the U.S. But regardless, we thank them for being up. It's small hours over there now. And right here with us in the Abuja studios, our thanks to Dr. Ibrahim Wada, of course, is a consultant gynecologist based here in Abuja. Always a delight having you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, sir.
And also, lastly, deep appreciation to the Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's Good Morning Nigeria. But before we go, let's take a look at the weather prospects.
Hello, welcome to the weather segment. For Monday outlook, we expect dust haze over the northern parts of the country with horizontal visibility range of 2 to 5 kilometers. A clearer visibility is expected over the central states. Moving to the inland cities, influx of more moisture is expected, which could lead to more cloud formation, especially over the southwestern part of the country. Hence, slim chances of rain showers over Ibadan, Lagos is expected in the morning hours, while the rest of the southern cities should expect partly cloudy to sunny conditions. I'll leave you with the temperature details. Thank you for watching.
All right, so that's it for Good Morning Nigeria today. Claire, we appreciate our viewers for being with us. The program returns tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Kingsley Osagalo. Have a nice day.
And I'm Abdul Razak. As always, watch a repeat broadcast of today's edition later today at 5 minutes past 5 on channel 101 Star Times on NT News 24. Bye for now.
Say they want to tell